Well, Bomber fans, certainly is a big week for the footy club. Joe Danaher re-signing, and later in the week we'll be celebrating 50 years of this man, Kevin Sheedy, being involved in footy. Now, Kevin, as we can see, it's not just with the Bombers, the Tigers, the Giants.
Well, I just thought.
Or are they just celebrating a couple of wins, are they?
I reckon a few people left after Saturday night. I reckon they left a bit of Tiger gear and a bit of Giants. But this could be an exciting year for me because Bombers get in. That means they've got the three clubs that I've been involved in the final 8. Now, that would be very, very strange, wouldn't it?
How does it make you feel 50 years in the game?
Look, I never think of it. My life's going that quick. I just can't believe I'm nearly 70. You know, going to be so. But the game's been fantastic to me. The flashes of fun with the players on trips overseas, grand finals, obviously disappointments at times, being beaten by a point in a couple of preliminary finals. I mean. And that's just at Essendon, like we've nearly got the 10 grand finals in 20 years. So we're very used to wanting to be there. I reckon most of the players were annoyed if we didn't get in that last couple of games to get a chance to a grand final. Richmond days were fantastic. The Tigers were great. And of course, starting the Giants, that was just enormous because it was uncharted territory. You go out to Western Sydney, start to try and study the history of Parramatta and its people. New South Wales and Victoria are like another country to each other, and Brisbane and Adelaide. And so we are sort of, in many ways, very different people around the biggest island in the world. And when you're trying to develop football and come from the history of Richmond and Essendon, it's quite an amazing sort of thing. And here they are on top of the ladder again.
It's the most open season for a long time, though, isn't it?
Mate, could you believe it? I mean, if you have a look, historically, at any season, I would say this is easily the most ferocious competitive season, and it could wear the coaches down in the end, not the players. But it is exciting. It is exciting, and the AFL will be laughing.
Is there wasn't as even then, but is there a bit of 1993 about this year? Could a team that you thought would not
absolutely
be a premiership team win it this year?
Well, it probably happened last year. Once they start moving the rules of engagement around for the premiership, and the first time they ever had a year off in the first week of the finals, the 7th team won. That's historically quite remarkable.
Do you like that? Or do you think it's unfair on the top 4?
Well, it's probably a little bit unfair on the top 4, but the season, really, when you look at it, they don't play each other twice, the teams. So in many ways, it sort of counterbalances a little bit of that.
Yeah, the inequities.
The inequities of that,
where you finish.
And even the drafting and the academies in the northern states. So it's every part of the area of AFL, whether it's your playing, drafting, even your salary cap finances, and I know it's a soft cap's been taken away a bit, but it's always a little bit unequal. And that is probably in many ways to try and keep it level playing fields. We've got an exciting game in Australia. We do it very different to other nations, but where would you get all these crowds of suburbs playing against each other, getting 85, 90, 88,000? I mean, no city in the world gets suburbs playing against each other. Normally it might be Spain versus France, or Argentina versus Brazil, but this is quite remarkable for one city, I can promise you.
And the Bombers, we don't want to talk about the last 4 minutes, or do we?
Oh no, we should have had the game over in the end because it was given to us by their poor kicking. If they had a kick straight, I don't think Buddy kicked the goal. And he's a marvellous player, but you should kick goals. If you want to be a great player, you just don't kick point after point after point after point. Now, that was a grand final. They would not win that. So your great players have got to actually have, they've got to have top class finishing skills, particularly in the forward line, because the results are so devastating to the team if you keep kicking a point. And you can see sometimes teams' confidence fluctuate during a game. Go, wow, great. And all of a sudden, point, let's get it to someone else. I think best key forwards at the moment in the game aren't great kickers for goal. And I think they've got to really look at improving that area. I think Jeremy Cameron doesn't get the ball enough, but his percentage kicking is very good. But he gets the ball a lot, and this is less than Jeremy's, and so on. And then of course Boy, over in the west, he's got a skip and a hop and a wobble, and so you've got all these sorts of different. And the one that I cannot understand is when the boys start flicking the ball around,
spinning it around.
Mate. To me, you lock it in, bang, there it is. It's slotted in your hand, and you just. That's where Lloyd and Scotty were fantastic. Hardly missed goals, and that's the percentage of return you want for your team, and the team's hard effort to get it to them.
In the coach's box, is there much John could have done in those last 4 minutes, or is that up to your on-field leaders? You've practiced these scenarios before. Is there much he could have done from the coach's box to change that?
Look, there's probably not, but you don't need to leave Tip and Woody as the person who's going to take the mark at the end of the chain when you're coming out. And this is after, say, Danaher's mark. I thought Danaher's mark was probably the match-saving mark. Sort of, but it didn't end there. It should have been. But if you're going, you need one tall sprinkled by two quick smalls if it comes to the ground. So I always try to have one tall and two quicks, not one tall and two slows or vice versa. So look, it's all a balance of what you can learn out of the game. The Swans have put us in a position to win it, then stole it back off us. And incredibly, now I think the other awareness skills is that when you got the Swans player on the kick-off line, understand who it is. He's a 6 foot 1.5 or 185 centimetre. Quick, redhead. Know who's there. There's not going to be a slumbering tall forward like a Lockett or like a big fella, but not real speed. So if you're going to kick in and you want to kick it to yourself and run, just understand that guy's as quick as Michael Long on the mark of 18-metre kick-in. So all these awareness skills, you've got to be aware, and this is where Gotto comes into the kick-in save. I wouldn't be toying around, kicking it to myself when I know I've got a speed merchant 10 metres out or 7 metres out in front. And his alert skills on just pressurising the kicker in that last, even in the mark he took, on the goal line. Don't worry about me. Shrugged Leeson off, bang, one harm. Good play. And we'll learn from that. Just learn from it.
What's been your most enjoyable part of the 50 years? Was it playing? Is that the most enjoyable part? Is it coaching? A lot of people say it's the playing side, but...
I like coaching. Playing was, I was probably in the middle of the group. You're lucky to win the best of the fairest at Richmond. We had Ian Stewart, Roy Sark, Kevin Butler, Francis Berg, Dick Clay. They're just a sensational team. The team won 5 premierships in 13 years. This is like one every 2 years nearly, and got the 7 grand finals in something like 67 to 1980, and then I left and I still got another one in 82. So they've been to sort of maybe 8 grand finals and won 5 or 6. So it's incredible.
Great record.
So you're lucky to get in a team like that in your lifetime, considering I was zoned to Melbourne. So if I had gone to Melbourne,
still be waiting.
So I've gone. Richmond said, "Well, they don't want you. We'll take you." Well, I'm indebted to Richmond all my life. Tom Hafey and Graham Richmond, the great Alan Swab. These people are fantastic people around Richmond. So I never diminished that, never. And Tigers were wonderful to me, and always have been. They always wanted to get me back there in different ways and shapes and positions in the club. The last one, I think Neil Baum was the one that had to go back. I think he was the right person in the managerial position to make sure that the Tiger fans actually can handle the ups and downs of a very tight season, which is what it has been for them, with so many losses by a kick. And I think Damien Hardwick's handled that pretty damn well. I think he's been, of all the coaches that handled close losses, he's been the best, I think, and still kept their focus on a chance. Then you look at other coaches, obviously the Scott brothers, they get frustrated with the Kangaroos trying to build up again, and great to see emotion in the box by the two coaches, Richo and Scotty, down at Geelong on the weekend. So look, I think it's a tough game, but the question before was a good one. Can your coach do much? I think you can, because the rotations are over in the last 4 or 5 minutes. You must leave your best players on the ground. And you go to West Australia and you talk to the West Australian Eagles fans, and they were that frustrated with guys like Cox and Cousins and Judd and then Kerr coming off the ground with 3 minutes and 4 minutes to go in grand finals. They totally hated it. But that's how tough it is. It's really tough.
Now, a little bit of talk through the week sheets. leaving Derek Kickett out, but in fact, and I wanted to ask you, and I've heard you say it before, not your hardest decision though, in terms of leaving players out. That was actually other players.
Oh, I think Bahajar was. We all love Tony Bahajar.
Yeah.
And as a matter of fact, we had a vote on our selection panel and senior players. It would have been around, I think, 10 or 12 years ago. Who was the unluckiest player not to play in a premiership for Essendon? And they voted 2. Neil Danaher and Tony Bahajar. And so we, and Tony was playing, obviously Neil had 3 knee reconstructions, so we got an AFL Premiership Cup trophy, and I presented to him in front of his club in East Fremantle about 10 years ago. And I've never seen Tony emotional, but it was great to tell his local club, East Fremantle, that this is how great this young man was when he came to help change Essendon's very poor efforts in the 70s. So in the end, because he was such a short, nuggety, tough player, but we've always felt that Tony Bahajar was the hardest decision by a mile, and in the end we put, 2 legendary players, sort of Mark Thompson and Mark Harvey on the bench, and they changed the game. They changed the game actually when they played. So luckily we got it right, maybe. But very unlucky for Tony because we loved him.
What was he left out? Because he won the prelim by 130 points. I guess a lot of people thought you'd make no changes to that side.
Yeah, well, he was left out mainly because of a knee injury. We just didn't feel like we could take a risk with a person and he was not a speedster. And we had, we had Darren Williams, and Darren Williams I think is the best rover I've ever coached. And in my best team, if I picked the 2 teams between Richmond and Essendon, Darren Williams would be in that team. As a second rover with Bartlett. Bartlett's a better rover, but Darren Williams would be in that team. So, but Bahajar to me was what lifted Essendon's spirits. So we had a person called Ron Andrews who was a cowboy and really held the fort for Essendon for a long time. He did miss out. I thought Kevin Walsh was probably a player that would take us to hopefully a chance to win some premierships, and he did. So Ronnie was unlucky. But on form, I think that Bahajar was the one, and I never lose sight of my best players. Scotty's in my greatest ever team, and it was hard to pick that side. But
centre half back or centre half forward?
No, he'd be centre half forward. Well, half forward flank because Merritt's centre half forward. I just push him to the side.
Just push it to the
I needed
side.
a tall right footer and a tall left footer, and you need a mix. Well, you need mix. I like those mixes.
That's how it'd be written down, and then we'd line up at the centre bounce, and I'd say, Rog, just over there. Just keep a bit of width on the ground.
And Roger would say,
"Yeah,
do you want to live, son?"
That's right.
and they're both from the western Victoria.
That's right.
Yeah, one's northwest, obviously up in the I think Glenelg Highway, or up in that border town area of Conniva, Lillimere. And you're from Camperdown?
Yes.
Camperdown.
Southwest.
Well, Kev, great to catch up. Congratulations on 50 years in the game. It's an amazing achievement.
Thank you.
And big night Thursday night. You're the comeback hero on Sunday as well at the game, Essendon, Brisbane. So, Bombers fans, remember, big day on Sunday, family-friendly time slot. Kids are in free, kick to kick after the game. Sheeds is the comeback hero. So I hope to see you all there on Sunday. We'll see you next week on the Footy Panel.